Good morning. Welcome to Diane's Kitchen. Today you're going to love this guest. She's going to tell you more stuff about who she is, what she does, and what she and her husband do for a living. It will maybe surprise you, maybe influence you, and maybe bring you out to the market garden in Spooner or the farmer's market. They finally found a wonderful place to set up. They're doing great guns, and she is going to tell you why. First of all, we'd like to definitely thank the Body Shop Fitness Centers, both the Spooner and the Shell Lake locations. And if you haven't stopped in Shell Lake at the ice cream stand, I know ice cream, fitness, it just doesn't seem to go together. But if you haven't stopped there for ice cream, you've got to make a trip. It is marvelous. They've got all sorts of wonderful summer treats. Stop in when you can. Elaina.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You just bring sunshine when you come into a room.
Thanks.
I mean, as soon as you walked in, it was like, yes, youth, enthusiasm, sunshine. Tell us, where were you from?
Yeah, so I'm originally from St. Paul.
Oh, St. Paul.
Yes.
And you're in this business.
Yep. We moved to Cumberland.
You and your husband?
Yes. It'll be 3 years in November, so 3 years ago.
Okay, and why did you move to Cumberland?
We were looking for land within an hour and a half of the Twin Cities because that's where our family is, and
Sure.
I was still working there at the time, to start a small organic vegetable farm.
And when you mentioned this to your fellow workers, what kind of response did you get? We're looking for a place for a small vegetable farm.
Yeah, so I got a lot of, oh my goodness, like, that sounds amazing. I wish I had the guts to do that. Or I wish I didn't like my lifestyle so much and be willing to, like, we gave up an income. We cut our income in half to do this.
Oh, easily.
Yeah. And so I think, it was more of like, that's so fantastic that you're pursuing your dreams and that you're going after that. I wish I could do that, or I wish I would do something, not necessarily farming, but just really follow up on those dreams that you've had since a kid, which is really a dream that my husband has had. He's always loved horticulture and botany, and he went into healthcare. He was an MRI tech, so I say he's a retired MRI tech. And so, he got to a point in his career where he's like, I just need something different. This isn't doing it for me anymore. And I was like, okay. And so he took about a year to really figure out what he wanted to do in agriculture. And he came across some people doing really cool stuff around permaculture. And, and so then he decided to do like a market garden. So growing fresh organic vegetables on a small scale, using like no-till methods, and really
in St. Paul still, or was this?
We decided to do it when we were there, but we didn't start it until we moved to Cumberland.
All right.
Yeah.
What did you do, back when you had a life?
So I actually led a product marketing team for Health Partners. So I was on the health plan side, and so they were based, the corporate headquarters is based in Bloomington, right next door to Minneapolis. I'm still doing marketing consulting, but I work from home now, and, I get to kind of determine my time a little bit more that way.
So did you ever have anyone back in the cities that took you to the side and said, what are you, nuts? You've got a good income. Your husband has a good income. This is where the money is. This is where the future. This is where your 401k, blah, blah, blah. What are you, crazy?
I don't, nobody said it. I think we assumed people were thinking it, but nobody said it.
This is a huge leap. This is like that TV show Green Acres.
Yeah.
They leave this one lifestyle.
Yeah.
We came from Chicago, almost 50 years ago. And it was culture shock. It was really different.
Yeah.
How people felt, it was so different.
Yeah.
You still going through that, or are you pretty well accommodated?
I don't think there was a ton of culture shock, and I'm not sure why, but I think because we had hit this point in our lives. We had young children, or we have twin boys who are 8 now, but at the time, they were 4 or 5, and we were really searching for purpose and connection. And so we wanted purpose in our work, but we also wanted to ensure that we were building a life that we wanted our children to emulate. So meaning, like, we had achieved traditional success, but we didn't want our children to feel like that was the only form of success. And so we wanted to make sure we were building a life where we were creating purpose and value within a community and also creating connection. And so we were seeking that out and thinking a small town would be able to provide that. And the funny thing is we had actually never even heard of Cumberland before we found our house. But we fell in love with this property, and it just felt like, yes, this is it. And then we fell in love with the town and the people, and it's been really good. So there hasn't been a ton of culture shock. Good. I do get asked a lot because I'm an extrovert, like, do you get lonely? Do you get bored? And it's actually no to either. You just, you fill your time with different types of activities. Like, I remember when we first moved out here, I would do a lot of puzzles, as opposed to when I was in the Twin Cities, I would do a lot of running around. And it was just like more slow tasks. It just, you naturally sort of slow down a little bit.
That's what I see about being an extrovert. You can always find something, even if you have to invent it.
Right.
You can always find something to do. I would say that we mirrored what you just said.
Yeah.
It was fun. We were making a really healthy income, but it wasn't a place we wanted to raise our kids.
Right.
So we moved for the same reason, and we would never go back. I mean, we visit a lot. Back to Chicago for events.
Yeah.
But the thrill is gone, and we absolutely love it here.
Yep, same.
But we didn't go into gardening. You guys did. How long was it between let's put in a little bit and to what you do now? Because now you garden in earnest.
We do, yeah. So, it actually started when we were still living in the Twin Cities. We had recently moved from a city lot to a half acre, kind of around the city limits. So, Afton area, right across from Hudson, Wisconsin.
Oh, sure.
And so we had started doing our own small garden there. And then my husband started to get into compost, making really good organic compost and really making nutrient rich and dense soil. And so, so it just sort of escalated from that. It's like we were outside all the time. We were enjoying that. Our kids were outside all the time. And it became this thing of how can we do more of this?
Yes.
Yeah.
So now what do you do? How many acres do you farm? What do you farm?
Yeah, so we live on 17 acres. We actually only farm a little over a quarter of an acre. So we have a high tunnel or a greenhouse. Inside there, we have tomatoes that we put in April. So they're actually up to the ceiling almost now.
And the ceiling is how high? 8 feet?
No. In a greenhouse, I would say it's close to 20 feet. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, 20 feet of tomatoes.
Yeah, we have, and I want to say we have 3, 4, 5 or 6 rows in the greenhouse, and then we have 2 rows outside of heirloom tomatoes. So inside we have cherry tomatoes, and then we have red slicers. Mm-hmm. So we're slowly getting some cherry tomatoes. So we've been bringing some to the market the last couple of markets, but they're the first thing to go. So they sell out by $8.20.
Oh, there's nothing like a tomato.
Yeah, and people don't have them in their gardens yet. So,
no, not yet.
Yeah. And then we also inside, we have a hakurei turnip, also known as a salad turnip. So that is about the size of a radish. We like to cut them up and put them in our salads. It's white, and it has a sweeter flavor than a radish.
Are those at market now?
Those are at market now. We had them at market the last 2 weeks. We will not have them at market this week.
Oh,
they're not quite mature. The next batch isn't quite ready yet.
So you kind of work in batches. You're not going to plant stuff and that's it. You're constantly planting.
Yep. So it's called succession planting. So we're planting on a weekly basis to ensure that we have produce every week. Mm-hmm. And most of the stuff that we plant, aside obviously from our cucumbers and our tomatoes, and we have some patty pan squash. Most of the stuff that we plant is ready in about 4 weeks. Not everything, but yeah, so we are planting every week to make sure we have something to harvest every week.
Sure. 4 weeks, that's a short time.
Yeah, it is. I mean, not everything is ready in 4 weeks, but like our lettuce heads or our lettuces, we'll start the seeds inside. We have a germination chamber that is temperature and humidity controlled to
nice.
Get the best germination. And then once it turns into that seedling, it'll sit on our table till it's ready to go into the ground. So once it's ready to go into the ground, it's usually, I think, about 4 weeks from harvest at that point.
That's a nice thing about lettuce.
Yes.
You can do this. And another nice thing about doing that is, I remember our first crop of lettuce. I thought, well, a 30-foot row will do. We had more lettuce than we knew what to do with. I mean, I'd have to drive through the grocery store parking lot and look for unlocked cars and drop off lettuce.
We have a lot of lettuce, and it is our most popular product.
Yes. And it's out of the garden. It's so good. It tastes so different.
It does. Yeah. It lasts. Our lettuce has been lasting up to 2 weeks in the fridge. And largely I think that's because it doesn't have to travel.
Oh, exactly. It's not coming from away.
Yeah.
What's the best way to store lettuce?
Well, so we have a lettuce mix, and that comes in a half-pound bag, and that'll store like that for 2 weeks.
In the bag it comes in?
Yep.
2 weeks. That's great.
Yep. And then we have lettuce heads, and those don't come packaged up. So if you need it to last a little while, your best bet is probably to put it in a container with a damp paper towel or a dry paper towel. Just keep it dry and crisp.
Okay.
So a container or a baggie or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But our lettuce in our house doesn't usually last 2 weeks. So,
I can see why.
Because we eat it.
I can see why. So do your boys eat healthy foods?
They do. Yeah. People are really
wonderful.
They have a quite a mature palate. They'll eat things I don't even eat.
Do you want your kids to find that out, that you
Oh,
wouldn't
they
eat
know.
it, but they do?
I mean, they know. I just, we went to Mexico when the boys were 4, and my one son was eating octopus.
Me too. Pass. Thanks, but
and
no
they
thanks.
love, I've never had sardines, and they love sardines.
And you moved up here. You're going to have to start eating sardines.
Well, my dad loves them too.
It's time.
I'm a texture girl, so I got to get accustomed to the texture first.
Yeah, well, it might take a while on sardines. The Spooner Farmers Market started so many years ago. I can't remember how many years.
I think I've been told about 9 years ago.
Just 9.
Yeah, and maybe it's longer than that, but 9 years since I think 9 years since Lee, who I know we'll talk about in a minute, has been part of it.
Okay.
And since Stacy, my co-manager, has been part of it.
I think it's got to be 15, 20 years since its first little hobble onto the stage. It was fraught with all sorts of problems, all sorts of managers, many of them who didn't live around here, maybe go to Florida for the winter and then come up here, never quite understanding the market dynamics. And it has moved so many times because the bigger it gets, the harder it is to find a good place. Now it's perfect. You're right on the highway.
People it's a good spot.
Didn't even know you were there. They're driving by and it's like, oh, wow, what are all those white tents? It has just grown. And I think Lei Jerry, who was head for, what'd you say, 8, 9 years?
Well, I think she took it over, I want to say it was about 7 years ago. Yep.
She made a huge difference. She had a product, pickle.
Yep. So she has a fine pickle.
A fine pickle, yes.
Yep. So she has, no, seriously, the most delicious pickles. We bought a bunch for Christmas gifts, and my family is obsessed and asking for more. And then she does have some jams and stuff as well.
And salsas. Yep. And I think her market strategy was, I don't know about this year, but, she would have little throwaway spoons, and you could taste just about everything that she had.
Yep. No, she's not doing samplings this year, but yep.
And she made a huge change.
Yeah.
Now, when it used to be just a few food places, it was okay. I mean, it was good. It was fresh. It was whatever. But now, my goodness,
It's huge. There's such a
It is
amazing
huge.
variety. We actually don't really grocery shop in the summer because we get all of our produce from our farm.
Right.
And then we get all of our meat and our bread and our pies and our cakes and everything else from the farmer's market. And so I remember last fall, winter, having to get back into that groove of grocery shopping. It was kind of tough.
And this is another question I have for you.
Yeah.
Summertime is
Yes.
about 2 inches long here
I know.
in the frozen north.
Yep.
That leaves a lot of months that are you growing with your hoop houses? Can you extend the season?
Yeah, so someday we would love to extend our season into winter. So last year, we had lettuce in the greenhouse as a test to see how long it would last because lettuce is somewhat of a cold weather crop. And so we did have lettuce growing, I think, until I want to say about December. Also, we discovered that kale will stay good in the ground until December as well. And it actually turns sweeter and it's actually just delicious.
That is the most hardy plant.
It's
and
amazing.
the best for you.
It's amazing.
And I remember they used to put restaurants used to put it on your plate as a pretty garnish,
Yeah.
and nobody would eat it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, people tasted kale, and pretty soon the garnishes were gone.
Yeah, well, and a lot of people like to use it for juicing and for smoothies.
Oh well, why
as
not?
Well. Yep. And we saute it. We put it in smoothies, but we saute it. And my husband's the cook in our house, and he does a fantastic job. So with
Have
it,
you made kale chips?
I have before. Yes. Mine don't usually get as crunchy as I'd like, though, when I make them.
Mine neither.
Yeah.
And I wondered what I had done wrong.
I've tried a few times, and no luck there.
Yeah, me neither.
Yep.
You think, oh, something I can do, something the kids will eat. Yeah, well, maybe.
Yep.
You have been planting for 3 years now?
Yes, yeah. So this is our second year in business, but
Okay.
our third year. So our first year when we moved to Cumberland, we prepped the land and we did test crops. We did we tested the soil. We had to bring in some organic matter to make it a little bit more nutrient dense and a little nutrient rich. And then last year we started selling at the Spooner Farmers Market.
And now, ta-da, you are, along with Stacy, market managers.
Yes.
Lee, finally, that's it. She's pulling the plug.
She's pulling the plug, though she is, staying on as our mentor and advisor.
Good.
Yes, we need it. It's a lot of work.
There isn't anything she doesn't know at this point.
Right. Yeah. Yep. It's a lot of work, and so it's good to have her there to help guide us, and yeah.
So your plot, your area, your vendor area,
Yes.
you do exclusively the vegetables.
Yes.
What does Stacy do? Your
Yeah,
market
I'd love
manager.
to. Oh, we have so many fantastic vendors. So, Stacy Hall, she's with Greensleeve Farm, which is out of Shell Lake. And so right now she largely has granola that she makes, and it's delicious. My husband says the best granola. And then she also, as the season comes up, right, she does heirloom tomatoes, and they do pumpkins and squash. And I think this year she's also going to have some sweet corn. So they have like a full-fledged farm. They also, which she doesn't bring to market, but they also do free-range chicken. And they do Mangalista pork, so similar to Chickadee Hills. And so we had actually purchased half a pig from her last fall.
Now that pork,
It's delicious.
and it's all dark meat.
It's a red meat.
Because years ago, when people were still a little leery about eating pork, the Pork Council said, this is the other white meat. And I thought, but it's not white anymore.
Right.
Is it a little odd to have a pork chop that's dark?
I don't think so personally. And I know Sherry from Chickadee Hills, she'll do an actual steak, and it's honestly, like, I had a friend over who we made these steaks for, and he's like, this is better than any like sirloin I've had or any like beef steak I've had. So
Well, why not? Why keep eating the same thing if you don't have to?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's a very, very, very tasty pork.
Good. the market is growing. Are you limited to how many vendors eventually? Because you're in a parking lot in front of a building that is for sale or for lease, which must make you feel a little uneasy. I mean, it is the ideal spot.
It is a great spot. And thankfully, I mean, I haven't talked with the owner directly, but he loves having us there, is what Lee
I would
has
imagine.
Said. Yep. So we assess, so Stacy and I are assessing each week how many vendors we feel we can safely fit in. And so the market has doubled from last year, and come late summer, fall, it may even triple.
Sure.
And so how we've been able to do that, so we're keeping an eye on parking, but all of our vendors now we're asking to park in a neighboring parking lot.
Good.
Yep. If they don't need their car, obviously, like our car is with us because we need to keep our vegetables cold, so we keep them in totes
a lot
in
of
the
them
back.
back their truck in and sell more or less out of the back of the truck.
Yep, we have a table out there, but
Good.
like as you restock as things get depleted. And then we got rid of... in the center, we now have a center row, which used to be picnic tables.
Yes.
And we got rid of those because, we want to encourage people to be safe, so shop and go. So now we have a center row. So we're up to, I would say we probably have around 40 vendors, but we haven't had more than 29 yet for the week. And we're assessing how many we can fit in and still have enough space between, so people don't feel crowded.
Right.
So like this Saturday, I think we have 29 to 30 vendors. We continually assess. So as I'm constantly, because I run our Facebook page, I'm getting requests. And so, the
requests for what?
To vend, to have a booth.
Good.
And essentially, I let them know, hey, we're full for now, but if a spot opens up, we'll reach out to you. And so that's what we've been doing. So if, like, each week we look at how many people we have confirmation from, and if we have open spots, I reach out to those people who are, I would call waitlisted. So there's a lot of interest, which is fantastic.
Yes.
And we would love to see, if there's a way to add in even another row in the center, but that would mean losing more parking spaces. So each week I'm just keeping an eye on the parking lot to see, can we afford to lose another maybe 6 feet of parking?
Because you're not kidding. Parking goes all the way back to the building.
Yeah.
It is so popular. The beauty of it, though, by taking out the picnic tables, you have a quicker turnaround. People aren't sitting and eating or, talking. They come, they buy, they go through all and then they get in their car and leave.
Yes.
What are vendor qualifications if somebody's going, farmer's market?
Yeah, so there actually aren't too many vendor qualifications. We assess, like, if we already have too much of one thing, then we may say, no, unless somebody's not going to be at market that day that's selling the same thing.
Sure.
So, and then, just making sure that they're following whatever state guidelines there are for what they're selling. So the market itself doesn't have restrictions necessarily, but the state might.
Right.
So we encourage people, like, you have to know what your state, what the state says about what you're selling and how to safely sell it.
Exactly.
Yep.
Which is a nice thing about Fine Pickle because the brined products are okay. You send in a sample and then they say, yeah, sure, you can sell it.
Right.
Anything else, you're talking about a commercial kitchen and all of the rules that go with it if you want to bake a cupcake and sell it.
Yep.
Wow, are there the steps to go through?
Right, exactly.
How do people find information about the market?
Yeah, so our Facebook page, so Spooner Farmers Market, and that's where we post.
.com.
On Facebook. So just go to Facebook and
okay.
search Spooner Farmers Market. Yep.
And they'll find all the information.
Yep.
And how to get in touch with you.
Yep. So there's a phone number listed on there. That'll go to Stacy Hall. Otherwise, a lot of people just message us. Yeah.
Good.
Right from Facebook. And that's generally how prospective vendors get in touch with us and end up selling.
Are you looking for somebody in specific? Have you and Stacy said, if we found somebody that marketed?
Yeah. So one person, I think they will be selling masks, but masks is something that we've been.
Duh.
Yeah, exactly. So Stacy does have a few masks. that she sells at her booth that somebody makes that'll be vending, selling soap. So Nikki Halverson, who will be selling soap later on in the season. So masks is something. And then, but otherwise we've got a lot of things covered. Like we have a lot of new vendors this year that are selling things that we were missing last year. So we have Bandoli Family Ranch, who is out of Spooner or Shell Lake now, I can't remember, but they have grass-fed beef that they're selling along with pasture-raised chicken and pork.
Is that the young couple? He's got a cowboy hat on?
Yes!
They're so cute. They look like they're from Oklahoma.
Yeah, I know. I love it.
So he's got chicken. And so he's mainly in the meats.
He's meats, yep. So beef, pork, and chicken.
Wow.
Yep. And then we also have Sweet Bee Co. is new this year as well, new to Spooner. We actually met her... KK is who we met her at the Country Lane Farmers Market, and she sells raw honey products along with like honey salves, so like edible honey and like other lip balms and salves, and then also CBD products. So I use her CBD oil for headaches and migraines, and then we've got the Sweet Stuff, which sells gluten-free desserts that are absolutely stunning. I mean, she sells traditional or original as well, but gluten-free. And then we have somebody selling it's called Just Fudge, where they sell these gorgeous, like gourmet-looking fudge.
What's
things.
not to like? It's fudge.
Yeah, so we just have a lot of fantastic new vendors, and then a lot of our traditional returning vendors, like the Vang family with the produce that have been there since, I think, I've been told they're the original vendors of the market. So
they have been there for years and years, and their products are amazing.
Yeah, and then I know we have Sunny and Ann from Five Oaks Farm that still does their honey, and they have these gorgeous giant jars of honey, which I love seeing.
They're my neighbors.
Are they really?
So we get to hear the sheep. And
that's
it's
fantastic.
Nice to have neighbors in the business right next door.
Yeah, and then we have Reilly's Bakery that's returning, and Katrina's usually there, and she sells out by like 11 o'clock and she's our neighbor, which we love because we shop. Like,
see? That's how I feel.
No, I mean, not our neighbor, like our house neighbor, but our neighbor at the market. So it's like, okay, what pie do we want this week? We just did the apple Dutch, and oh my gosh, that was so good.
And unless people buy these kind of products, if you depend on a grocery store, you have no idea how good homemade
it's so different.
It is
so different.
Yeah, and you see people with bags of stuff.
It's so different. Yeah. It's so fun because like before the market, we bought meat from a grocery store.
Of course.
And
having no idea what was in it.
And now we actually they're not at the market, and they don't do super large scale right now, but Toby Lake Farm, which is out of Cumberland, does pasture raised chicken or
sure.
They're on a rotational pasture system. And so we just picked up our 20 whole chickens from them this week. But the meat is just so much more tender.
I know.
And it makes a difference.
I know. And the eggs are so yellow. And when you make cheesecake, everyone thinks it's lemon. Is this lemon? No, it's just...
The yolks are much, like we don't sell, but we have chickens from our eggs from our own chickens and ducks. And it is very different.
Yeah. It's an eye opener. Everything is just wonderful. I am so glad that you and Stacy bring your enthusiasm to the farmers market.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, do you have a plan B when this building all of a sudden gets sold or gets rented and out you go?
Yeah, so we have some ideas in mind. We haven't talked to anybody yet, but we certainly do have some ideas that we're floating around that would also allow the market to get even bigger than it is. Yeah, because we do have so much interest. And
exactly,
you don't really want to turn anybody around. Away. You want to support everybody's dreams and their livelihood and what they're doing.
And give people, especially that don't have gardens or maybe are not from around here, the opportunity to taste real food.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It is marvelous. What time and where is the farmers market?
Yeah, so the farmers market is open every Saturday, even this Saturday, July 4th, from 8 to 1. I will say, I would encourage people to get there early because a lot of things do sell out.
Yeah.
Like we talked about our tomatoes. We had beets last week. Those sold out within the first hour. And that's the case when you're bringing those like popular type products like that are unlimited supply for us.
And who, even local, who has a garden, has beets yet? But you do.
Yeah. Yes, we have. Because they were in our greenhouse.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. You are way ahead of the curve on a lot of these vegetables.
Yeah.
I mean, our carrots are nice and long, but they're maybe a half an inch thick.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, we will have our carrots along with the Vang family will have their carrots. And then so I recommend getting there early, and then we're located right off of 63 in I guess it's the old Restore parking lot. Mm-hmm. So it's the corner where you would turn for the Washburn County Fairgrounds, mm-hmm. and we're across from Economark on 63.
Right, and Spooner Family Restaurant.
Yes.
Right across from there.
Yep. And kind of by the Dollar General store, I think, is right there, or Dollar Tree.
One of them.
Yeah.
One of
Something,
them.
Yeah.
They must run out of names by now. I hope you have a little time on Saturday. You are going to have such a good time. You are really going to have such a good time. Stop in. Peter's there with his breads.
Oh, yes. Nut House breads.
Oh, mm-hmm. They are.
And so many fun flavors.
No kidding. I don't know where they come up.
We got a dill pickle bread last year.
Yes, and lavender.
Yes.
That's probably why they call it the Nut House.
Yeah.
They come up with, his whole family is involved. And
did you know they're originally from the Twin Cities, from Minneapolis?
Oh, another defect.
Yes.
Good for you.
Yes.
You'll never be sorry you made that move.
No, I don't think so.
Never.
Yeah, they've been here way longer than we have, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And to raise your kids here,
yeah.
Smart move. I'd like to thank you for stopping in today. This was fun. And I'd also like to thank Greenfield PT and Sports Medicine, and of course, the Lakes team from Edina Realty in Spooner. Stop back next week. I have someone that if you're buying a gun, if you're looking to arm yourself, you might want to stop in. He's a very interesting person. He's from Fireline in Rice Lake. So until next week, thank you again.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll see you all at the farmer's market.
Definitely. Go to the farmer's market. If you go once, you're hooked.
Yes.
So remember, as I always tell you at the end of the program, keep it cooking.